Hello and welcome along to another season of this FM22 One Club story from Hemel Hempstead Town with me, Daniel. We're back today for season 16 of the Tudor Times, and in part 134 we've got one hell of a summer transfer special to get through. We hinted at it in the end of season review last time out. It was going to be a big one, it was going to be surprises, it was going to be controversial. Well, it's met all of those objectives. And what's more, to make this episode even more complete, we start the season against the world's longest serving interim manager, Neil Bath, still the man in charge of Chelsea, from whom we got one of our star signings that you met last time. So if you're looking forward to finding out how we get on in our first game of the season and what on earth has been happening in and around the club, then please do chuck a thumbs up on the video, subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on for daily FM22 content. There's links in the eye above to our new top 3 playlist, as well as the Twitch channel, football podcast and merch store too. And you can also support the show as a channel member by clicking the join button down below. But let's get straight in to what has been a busy summer transfer window. Lots of players in, a couple of gambles that you might even consider ridiculous, and I'm ready to take a little bit of aggro in the comments here because this is an unlike me summer. Remember what we said in the end of season review. Sell on some of the older boys, sell on some of the backups. Don't worry if we have a slightly worse team this year or less depth, should we say, this season. Worry about in 12 months' time being a top side. And the good news is our first 11 hasn't changed much, so we should still be pretty competitive. So let's go and have a look at the transfer centre. There's a few deals pending. We're getting loads of offers for loads of people. And there's a new lad potentially going out on loan. We'll look at why in a minute. Because if we go to the transfer history and we start with last season, there has been a lot going on. Now, there is some positive to be taken from what we've experienced this summer, which is virtually everything big has been done early. So most of the new signings have had a pre-season with us. A lot of them you've met already. And we've also got a lot of players out early, so they weren't back for pre-season. There wasn't that lack of harmony in the dressing room or whatever, albeit there's still the usual couple that are unhappy. But basically, we were looking at reinvesting the Ricker money. You saw he went for 175 million in January, following him out the door in the summer. Arthur Ndu for £37 million to Southampton, who of course are one of those rivals just below us in the league. But for 1 year left on his contract at 30 years of age, we've seen Sadio Mane in real life. This isn't a great deal far off. So Arthur Ndu, really good deal. Great player for us. Over 150 league games, scored big goals, crucial to trophy wins in cups and etc. I really like the kid. He played brilliantly for us, but he's getting a last payday. He's getting an extra, 30 grand a week. You can't begrudge him it. So hopefully he has a good season or two there, but not good enough to topple us in the league. The other one that went out was Shane Leacock. We mentioned about the big changes and you met 2 of the new centre midfielders last time. Shane Leacock is another one of those that's left the club. He's gone permanently to Celtic, who paid £16.25 million, which means we made a profit yet again of £5 million. Didn't play a huge amount in the league after the first season. He got worse quickly in terms of comparatively to our squad, but he was really crucial in the cups. He was decent enough in the dressing room, didn't complain too much. It's only really that last January we had troubles. So Shane Leacock will be remembered fondly, but certainly not a legend of the club's history. Now we will have a quick recap of all those new faces, but you did actually see all 5 of those in the last episode. Onto this season though, one more has come in, who you saw being linked with loans out, and quite a few more have gone out, mainly on loan. Let's get through the permanent first, which was Jason Dolner. He went for 1.9 million to Cardiff, as of course you saw there were 2 strikers coming in. I know he didn't get a huge amount of game time for us, having been one of those to join the first summer we came up to the Premier League. In fact, he only actually played 7 league appearances in the end. I don't think any of them were from the start. But the interesting thing is that he's going to be a big goal scorer in a championship. He played in League 2 and League 1 for Notts County, scored goals galore. I think he'll do the same with Cardiff. The early suggestions are the same. 2 goals in his first appearance. He's a good player, just not good enough for our level. So we had to move up, we had to increase, and we had to take gambles for the future. In terms of the loans out, loads of youngsters moving on for the season. A few of them taking steps up. I think of the likes of Afiz Agbar to Bolton. He's playing in League 2. He's going to be playing with regularity, and he is improving quite quickly. There's a few others where it's last chance saloon, the likes of Toby Bliss, who's actually gone to a bigger club this year in Salzburg, a club where Ricky J. Jones is still playing his football, and maybe he'll be the one to have the benefit on him. But the big decisions come a bit further down because we have loaned out potentially 4 players that could have been in the first team squad this year. Firstly, David Wilson, a number 10, has gone to Zenit. Had the option of them or going back to Peterborough, who he got promoted from League One with last year, but he's chosen to go to Zenit now. We have had history with them. Rojas has been there before. Terry Clark was there a few years ago and really improved. I think Wilson's going to be the same, and I really think he's starting to become a player that will be Premier League standard in the future. After him is Luiz, the one that we'd hinted at most in the last episode. He's gone to Shakhtar for the year. The Brazilian youngster is going to be brilliant, but he needed that season. We were almost holding him back with sort of bit part substitute appearances in the odd cup game. He needs a season of football. He needs to play all the European games and come back having turned that wonder kid description into bordering on a world-class player. And the same will apply for Emiliano Rojas, who we've loaned out to Benfica. Now, he was there last season. He was brilliant. He improved no end. And I think the same will happen here. It's probably his last development year. We tried to get him up from 2.5 to sort of 3 or 3.5 star ability. He started pretty poorly in truth, but I've got every faith that he'll have a good season there. Another one that, as you saw before, has been at Zenit. And the final one is Dean Arthur, who in fact has just gone out a couple of hours ago to Cardiff. Championship football will be great for him. He's a young player with bags of potential. We obviously got him for relatively small money last summer, 5 odd million from Peterborough. He needs that year to show just how good he is, and he's got the potential to develop and become a superstar. So let's hope he gets a good year of football. Fingers crossed he'll come back ready for a bit more action. Let's move on to the ins though, because there is a lot to reflect on. Now, there are a couple of players we couldn't get out, which had led to some of the outs and a lack of more ins. So we almost agreed a swap deal, believe it or not, with Norwich for Alban, the number 10 we've been chasing for years, to swap with Carlos Martin and a good lorry load of money. But Martin turned down Norwich, which made it all the more frustrating. He's the one that I've tried to get out this summer. He's rejected Everton, he's rejected Wolves, he's rejected Norwich. All of them work out to the equated value of 50 million or more. So really annoying on that front. But otherwise, this squad is still pretty strong. Now, you can immediately see the biggest frustration, which we'll meet in a moment, but we have managed to get in a lot of players that will make a difference long term. The potentials are absolutely excellent. So if we start with a quick recap of the 5 that we knew were coming in already, that we did meet briefly in the last episode, but only with vague scout reports. So let's start with Stanley Azoma, who is the new Mario Ricca. Whether he's good enough or not, that's the opportunity he's going to get. From Chelsea for £34 million. He is a quality 23-year-old Nigerian striker, has proven to be a goal scorer at every level, maybe bar the top of the Premier League, and he's the biggest earner, he's got the biggest opportunity, and I really hope he can be the star I'm expecting him to be, because I'm pinning a lot of hopes on him for the future, and if he, Ricketts or Torres can't just step up and be that Ricca level, maybe we've lost our best opportunity in this save, but I have faith and we'll see how it goes. And of course, his debut may well be against his former club. The second one was Sasa Ostrakovic from Copenhagen. He didn't have a work permit at the time, but has just got one last week. He's a solid player, not a great one. I feel like it might not work out, and he's got a fairly hefty wage for his ability, but I believe we'll make a profit on him, and I believe he will improve. And as long as those two things happen, it's not a bad deal, and you can see why we're keeping him till January in a moment. Third up is Stamatis, the midfielder from Olympiacos, who I promised in the last episode I'd never say the surname of again, and I'm a man of my word. So in comes the 12.25 million Greek right midfielder, who, as you know, is going to be retrained as our new box-to-box man. I see him as my new Arthur Ndu. I think he's already as good. He's just not quite got the usefulness in the position yet, but certainly maybe not the mental side quite up to the same level. He's played over 50 senior games at a good level though. He's an international footballer and he's really, really solid. If he can train and become natural there, he's going to be a superstar in the future. I have no doubt of that. The next one is Ledion Andreka from Charleroi for £12 million. He is a wonder kid holding midfielder, which may lead to some changes in shape this year, because with the 8 we've got left, we've got De Vita and Andreka, 2 natural holding midfielders who can't really play centre mid. And we've also then got the situation with Arlan, who might have to push in and be a centre midfielder. There are a few different options and a few different combinations we could see in there. but I really think this guy's going to be a gem. I just want to get him working on his passing, get him up to that top level there. But another one who, between international and club, has played 100 top-level games at 19. It's a really good position to be in. Ryan Mcintosh has since, I think, gone out on loan. He has to Accrington, a young player from City, and if he makes it, great. If not, we got him for a couple of grand a week. Let's move on to this year, though, because it's both the best and most frustrating signing, which is Vit Shrubek for £12 million from Al Ahly. He is a Czech Republic international, and I can't quite work this one out, and I don't know if you can help me. I couldn't get a work permit for Vit, and that's despite the fact he played in every single game in European Championship qualifying, and he played in every single game for his country in the European Championship. Now, the reason he came on my radar is one of my scouts was at the Euros, and he was the joint top scorer there. I don't understand how he's not getting a work permit based on that. So it looks like he's going to frustratingly sit here for a few months, because we tried to loan him out to Atletico and to Juventus. He's rejected both of those because he's just joined the club. A little bit annoying. But we're basically paying someone 80 grand a week who can't play at the moment. The good thing is, he's actually a bit more of a natural poacher style striker. He's 6 foot. He's quick off the mark. He's got good stamina. He's technically magnificent. He's great off the ball. His anticipation's phenomenal. He's officially an elite striker. How can you have someone who's marked world class who can't get a work permit? It beggars belief, I've got to be honest. But once we do get one for him, superstar in waiting. And what I'm hoping then is by next summer, Sasa Ostrakovic will either have proven himself or go, and then we can make a decision on Danny Harrison, who's the last remaining backup, along with Case Striker, who we want to get rid of. So, a really good summer, if we could have played him from the start. As it is now, it's probably just a good one. We have taken some gambles, of course. It's a one-page squad. There's not as much depth in midfield as we've had before. And when we do have a couple of injuries, like now to Carlos Martin, if we picked up one more, we wouldn't be able to rotate fully with our first team squad. But the aim is not to win the title in the Champions League this year. The aim is to make sure in 12 months' time, with the players coming back from loan, with the players we're developing, bringing in, getting work permits for, and the players that are young and in our squad at the moment, that we have one of the best sides in European football that's ready to go. And I strongly believe that will be the case. We have got some young players developing anyway. Ahmed Zaruk continues to come on leaps and bounds. Ignacio Jura alongside him, much the same, and becoming very quick too. And of course, we've got the star 4 up the top. Now, the issue with that is that most of those haven't signed a new deal. So, of the star players that haven't got one yet, that I'm going to want to give one to, Ricketts, Coronel, Moreira are the main 3. The positives are a lot of others have signed a new deal. So Dominic Chauvin has signed for 5 years. Rodrigo Delgado for 4. Rodrigo De Vita has signed a new one too. Jack Hanifan is almost ready to discuss on fairly reasonable terms. But the 3 lads up there and Carlos Torres are the ones we probably have to get. And at the moment, it's Coronel and it's Torres who are throwing their toys out the pram. So whether that affects team selection in the next couple of weeks, I don't know. But let's have a look at the season preview, see where we're expected to be. I'd love to get your thoughts on the transfer window down in the comments. Let me know, do you think it's the right policy? How on earth has Shrubek not managed to get a work permit when he's played nearly every international game? And where do you think we're going to finish compared to this media preview? Because they have us in 7th place, going slightly backwards from last year. But there's a problem. And I'm sure you can all see it on the screen. I don't know what it is with the media preview. There are 5 teams in Europe this year, in the Champions League, because Tottenham won the Champions League, despite being outside the top 4. But promoted Newcastle, promoted from the Championship last year, are joint favourites to win the Premier League with United. Now, they have shown nothing to suggest that they can do that in the last few years. They have got some wonderful players, including one in the Media Dream 11, who is Langford, who I think is an England international, a Welsh international, but a genuinely world-class player. They've brought in some good players. They've improved their squad, but I'm not quite sure that's an accurate representation. Looking at that, though, if Newcastle aren't as good as they're expected to be, we can then be very good candidates for the top 6, because the rest of those above us, we only need one to have a bad year, and then we're really knocking on the door of the Champions League. So fingers crossed that can happen. We play Chelsea first, who are expected to finish just below us in the table. They've not had a good few years. And of course, Azoma will be looking to get revenge against his former club. The tactic initially doesn't change. The aim of the season doesn't change. We want to try and get into that top 4 again. And if we can compete in one of the cups, then absolutely brilliant. Let's get through the tactical meeting as Arsenal and Liverpool have drawn on the opening day of the season. Let's put the opposition instructions on, pick the assistant's best 11 and go and see how ours compares. And here is, in essence, our plan for the start of the season. As always, as you know with me by now, I try not to push all the new signings in. And in fact, we're not going to start any of them today. We're going to drip feed them slowly. We've got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bench. So not even all of them are going to make an appearance. That's something that hopefully will change in FM23 with the 5 subs. Rodrigo de Vita is going to start the season as our holding midfielder. We're sticking with Coronel. We're sticking with Torres, even though they're both unhappy. I want familiarity. I want tactical shape. And then later on, we can bring on some of the exciting young stars. So the 11 for today is no surprise at all. John Moore in goal with Chauvin and Delgado the fullbacks. Zaruk and Jura definitely first choice centre-halves now. De Vita, Coronel, Moreira and Mailton the midfield diamond. And then Torres and Ricketts up front. Who's going to become the star? Who is going to replace Mario Ricca's goals? Let's get into the first game of the season. No tactical changes made and find out who it could be. Well, Neil Bath is in the job for the umpteenth year as interim manager. A little bit of a glitch in the game from the start, but let's have a look at the side he's put out today. We're into all regen territory, I think. Just Esposito on the bench, a recognisable name. But into the first half, through the dressing room we go. We get the lads to impress us. We've got a few of them motivated, in fairness. Now, we need a big first half performance. If we can start the season positively, as we did last year, it can be a real catalyst for success. And with 6 minutes on the clock, we're here to play out from the back as Jura gets it from Moore and finds Chauvin. Chance to run down the right, largely unopposed at the moment. Chelsea are playing that tactic I hate with the box midfield and the back 3 and wing backs, but we'll try and overcome that and not complain too much. As Jura passes halfway, in possession, finds Coronel. Got the short option, instead finds Zaruk. Grew into his space last season and hopefully will develop further this year. Moreira finds Mailton to Ricketts. Through ball to Torres, it's a wonderful pass. And he just took that little bit too long, deflected by the last-ditch defensive challenge and into the goalkeeper's arms. Well, almost at the half an hour mark, and I think cagey would be the word to describe this. Chelsea have now had a shot on target by the stats, but not a great quality one, and we've not seen anything from them going forward as the Chelsea keeper's clearance hits Ricketts, deflects towards Torres, who again, just a little bit slow to get that first touch, and Romagnoli can bring it away down the right to Barde. Big switch of play for Chelsea, and they've got space out there. Of course, we don't have the wide midfielders, as Klaes's cross is blocked. Falls back into Garcia. Chelsea on the front foot here for the first real time. Get the ball into Matondo, and it's easy as you like. We go 1-0 down. We're going to have to go a bit more positive. We're going to demand more, because on the back foot, we've looked very shaky. And to be honest, that goal was very avoidable. No shots on target, 10 to the break. And is the hangover of not replacing Mario Ricca still going to be an issue this year? Or is Azoma going to come off the bench and save the day? As Delgado picks the ball up to De Vita. Through ball towards Ricketts. He's in one-on-one. I think he was offside anyway. He was. The keeper wasn't to know. Wonderful save from him. And it stays frustrating. We've had 70% of the ball and got nothing to show for it. Because we're not really creating great chances. As Chauvin finds Jura. Almost caught in possession as the last man there. Instead it's played out to Zaruk. And he can work it left in the end. He's got support from Delgado. Another one on a booking. But you can see Chelsea are pressing us in the right areas. And that formation, one we really struggle with. As Ricketts, through ball to Torres. He's in again. Takes it a bit quicker this time. Goes wide of the keeper and slides it in. Off the inside of the post. 5 to the break. Carlos Torres scores. Don't forget he was in Premier League Team of the Year last year. 12 goals, 12 assists. And he gets his first one of the season, linking up with Ricketts. That's a good sign at half-time. But it's not been the best performance in the world. We're still going to need a little bit better. So ask the lads to do it for the fans. Go and get into the second half. We've got a throw on the left-hand side. In our own defensive third with Delgado. Out to De Vita, who has looked solid, to be fair to him, in that holding role. He's going to get the ball again here, is he? No. It's back to Zaruk. He plays Jura. Chelsea not really pressing the centre-halves at all. It's allowed Jura to go on a mazy run here. Eventually goes wide to Dominic Chauvin. Support down the line from Torres. 3 or 4 in the middle. Ricketts, one of them. Didn't quite catch it. It's a pretty feeble effort in the end. Straight into the keeper's arms. And it stays 1-1. But that was an opportunity. Mailton looks like he's having that slow start to the season again. So we've got the ball on the left. Moreira, what a ball that is. Ricketts plays it back to him. That one's not the best. But there's the touch. The little flamboyance and world-class nature we've got in our team. Unfortunately, it's not matched up front now. As Torres to the Vit up. Great through ball. Moreira's in. Hits the woodwork. Probably should have got that under the crossbar, to be honest. But what a pass initially. What movement after. We just need to match it elsewhere. It would be a frustrating one if we don't win this. And with 25 to go, I'm going to make changes. And I'm going to adjust the shape a bit. Mailton's having a really poor game. And do you know what? Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put Torres back in the number 10 role. Azoma is on for a debut up front. Coronel will be replaced by Stamatis. And at left back, maybe Delgado. I'll leave that one 5 more. But 2 of the new boys are on. Let's see if they can have a dream debut. 15 minutes left. Our choices are a Delgado that's on a booking and not playing that well, a knackered Moreira, or an average De Vita. I really don't know what I want to go for here. It's probably not the right game for Ndreka because he's not the best passer of the ball and we need to push forward. So I think the safest option is Delgado off and probably Danilo Jose on. 15 to go. Who wants to be a hero? We've got a corner kick with Moreira. Chance for someone to get on the end of it. Up towards Jura, who loses out. It's cleared as far as Stamatis. Coming down the right to Dominic Chauvin. Loads of players in the box. It's just overhit the cross. And Doncor heads away as far as Moreira. Brings it down on the left. It's a big ball in. Azoma's first touch. Is he onside? VAR will check. This could be a huge moment. The man who's playing his first game since signing from Chelsea for 34 million. And it's disallowed. It's offside. It did look it. Unfortunately, it's not to be. But what a moment it could have been. And a very good sign in front of goal. Has encouraged the lads with a few minutes left. Just push them onto the front foot. We've dominated the game. We deserve a win. A point wouldn't be a disaster, but I'd still be a touch disappointed. As Azoma's away down the right, the sub. To the back post, the header's away. As far as Danilo Jose, another one of the players introduced. He goes back to Zaruk. We are being a bit more patient here as De Vita finds Chauvin. He's got Azoma down the line. There's 3 or 4 in the middle. Ricketts is one of them. It's feeble again. Tyrese Ricketts, where has your finishing gone? It is the chance that could have been. And unfortunately, it remains a 1-1 draw. Great signs in terms of performance. Some really good cameo performances from the substitutes who are making their debuts. But ultimately, it's the same problem, isn't it? We can't be expecting it to be fixed first game, but we're missing Mario Ricca still. We've dominated a game, and we haven't got that world-class goal scorer now. Hopefully, that will change as the season goes on. We can't blame Azoma after 20 minutes, but the signs are good. A great performance, a really good dominant display. Now, how are we going to get on the rest of the year? Let's have a look at the schedule for when we're next going to be back. Well, on paper, you've got to say it's actually a relatively friendly start to the season, possibly all the way up to the City match in mid-October. Of course, the next big thing for us is going to be the Champions League group stages, which will start in the middle of September. And that is what we're going to come back for, because I've done my transfer work now. There are 1 or 2 players we've been targeting, and there's potentially 1 left back that might come in, but it's not going to be a busy deadline day. No more stars are going to go. We're only going to be selling backup players and maybe signing a left back. So there's no point me showing you that and a mediocre Premier League game. We will be back for the Champions League. We'll see who we face and hopefully we'll have a big tie under the lights at the Hemel Hempstead Stadium. If you did enjoy that start to the season though, lots of transfer work, some surprising outs, some surprising ins. But of course, all with the aim of being stronger in 12 months' time and in a position to compete for the big trophies. If you enjoyed it though, do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments where you think we're going to finish and what you think of my summer work. Subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on for daily FM22 content. You can find our new top 3s playlist up in the eye above. A massive thank you for your support with those videos so far. A new one from them every Sunday at 6 PM. You can also find links to the Twitch channel, football podcast and merchandise store too. And I'll see you again here very soon as we start our second Champions League campaign with Hemel Hempstead Town. And hopefully we've got a little bit more positive transfer news to come too. I'll see you there to find out.